Wow, great reflexes.
In Terminator 2, Judgment Day, the iconic helicopter under the overpass stunt was done without CGI, using Vietnam-trained pilot Chuck Tamburo. When the crew refused to film for safety reasons, James Cameron operated the camera himself. In the scene where the T-1000 loses his arm and foot, an amputee actor was used to make it look more realistic. In Mad Max Fury Road, director George Miller returned to his iconic franchise with thrilling, practical stunts. One of the most intense scenes involved stuntmen leaping from poles attached to moving cars onto a speeding truck in the Namibian desert. This real-life action, performed without CGI, took 8 weeks of preparation and over 150 stuntmen to execute. In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Aunt Marge's inflation scene was achieved with a 50-pound inflatable suit worn by Pam Ferris. The costume inflated layer by layer, including over her face with the help of wires and multiple suit sizes. At her largest, she reached 4.5 feet wide and was unable to eat or walk while in it. In Live Free or Die Hard, the iconic scene where John McClane takes down a helicopter with a car is unforgettable. The stunt, which involved launching a police car into the air, took 3 weeks of rehearsals to perfect. CGI was kept minimal, used only to remove support cables and add rotor blades, making the action feel as real as possible.
Squirrels.
In Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Tim Burton opted for realism by training live squirrels to crack nuts instead of using CGI. They trained 40 real squirrels for 19 weeks to sit on a stool, crack nuts, and drop them onto conveyor belts, making the scene feel real. In Spider-Man, the scene where Peter Parker catches Mary Jane's lunch on a tray was done without CGI. Tobey Maguire performed the stunt himself using a sticky substance to hold the tray steady, and after 156 takes, he successfully caught the items exactly as seen on screen.
Wow, great reflexes.
In Barbie, the iconic Barbie legs in the opening scene weren't CGI, they were real. The production team scaled up Margot Robbie's own legs for the shot, allowing the kids on set to interact with them. Despite looking like digital creations, the legs were entirely practical. In 3 Ages, Buster Keaton attempted a stunt where he leaped from one building to another, but missed the jump. This was not intentional, but Keaton found the mistake amusing and decided to build the rest of the gag around it. Since there was no CGI in the 1920s, Keaton relied on practical effects, turning his mishap into comedic gold. In John Wick Chapter 4, the fall down 220 stairs was real, not CGI. Keanu Reeves' stunt double performed the entire fall twice, with digital effects only used to remove the tracking camera. The train scene in Inception was one of those scenes that seemed so over the top that one could easily think it must have been really great CGI. It was a practical shot done in downtown LA. In Tenet, Christopher Nolan took his love for practical effects to a new level. For the iconic plane crash at Oslo Airport, instead of using CGI, Nolan bought a retired Boeing 747, crashed it into a building, and filmed the entire event. The flames and destruction were real, and it was even cheaper to do the stunt in reality than to use computer-generated effects. In Fitzcarraldo, Werner Herzog took realism to extreme levels by having his crew haul a 320-ton steamship over a mountain in the Amazon, just like the real-life story it's based on. Despite several injuries and production challenges, the crew made it happen without CGI or green screens, with the wrecked steamship still visible today. Herzog later joked that every man should pull a boat over a mountain at some point in life. In The Dark Knight Rises, Christopher Nolan used a real plane for the plane dropping scene. It took months of planning and special permission to pull off, with stunt coordinator Tom Struthers highlighting Nolan's preference for practical effects. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, the iconic boulder chase scene was achieved with practical effects. The crew created a 168-kilogram, 3.6-meter fiberglass boulder, and Harrison Ford had to run from it down a 36-meter track 10 times. Spielberg rejected the idea of a stunt double for authenticity and convinced Ford to risk injury for the shot. In Jackie Chan's Wheels on Meals, when Jackie is fighting Benny Urquidez, Benny's kick is so fast it puts out all of the candles without any special effects or CGI. In The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers during the Battle of Helm's Deep, a Rohan soldier with one eye was played by extra Wayne Phillips. Peter Jackson chose to feature his real condition, no CGI involved. Fire! In The Dark Knight, the building explosion was completely real. Christopher Nolan convinced the owners, who planned to demolish it, to let the film crew handle the job. Since they only had one chance to get it right, the pressure was on, and they nailed it. Although many believe Heath Ledger improvised the iconic detonator mishap during the scene, that's actually a myth. The explosion, however, was as real as it gets. In Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the scene where Scott throws a package over his shoulder into a trash can was done without CGI. Director Edgar Wright wanted it to be real for authenticity, and after 33 takes, Michael Cera finally nailed it while delivering his lines.
So yeah, 8 o'clock?
In Alien Resurrection, Sigourney Weaver trained for the basketball scene for weeks and nailed the iconic over-the-shoulder shot in one take, no CGI or camera tricks involved. The shot surprised co-star Ron Perlman so much that he nearly broke character, but the final edit cut away just after the ball went in.
And I go, holy shit, it went in! And everybody on the set went from total elation to total panic because I broke character.
In Independence Day, the iconic scene of the aliens destroying the White House was created using a detailed, life-sized replica. The filmmakers debated whether to destroy it, but ultimately, they blew it up for real, creating a memorable moment. For Interstellar, Christopher Nolan planted 500 acres of corn to avoid using CGI for the farm. After filming, he sold the corn, turning a profit for the budget. In Blade Runner 2049, the endless greenhouses in the opening scene aren't CGI. They were filmed in Spain, where massive greenhouses stretch for miles. In Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the scene where Nebula carries a passed-out Peter Quill was done with a realistic 35-pound dummy made by Legacy Effects. It was so convincing that even the film's editor didn't realize it wasn't Chris Pratt until 2 weeks into editing. In Extraction 2, Chris Hemsworth was set on fire for real during the prison scene. Instead of using CGI, he was lit up 7 or 8 times, wearing specially designed safety jackets. In Fast and Furious 6, the tank scene was done for real, not CGI. A modified World War II tank crushed cars and destroyed a highway in Tenerife and Gran Canaria with government approval. The tank was even launched out of a truck, making the practical effects totally worth it. In Kingpin, Bill Murray surprised everyone by bowling 3 consecutive strikes for real during the turkey scene. The crowd's reaction and Murray's celebratory spin on the floor were completely genuine. In Mission Impossible 2, Tom Cruise suggested using a real knife for the fight scene. The knife was attached to a steel cable, stopping just a quarter inch from his eye. Cruise even insisted Doug Ray Scott push with full force to make the moment feel real. No CGI was used. In Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Jesse Eisenberg makes a cross-court basketball shot. Although he nailed it off camera, the pressure during filming led to 30 takes before he finally made the shot on film. In Iron Man, the scene where Pepper installs a new arc reactor in Tony's chest was done using a prosthetic chest. Gwyneth Paltrow worked on the prosthetic while Robert Downey Jr. sat at a different angle to make it look seamless.